So with a decent amount of episodes out for the Rising of the Shield Hero, I wanted to talk about the journey so far for the series, the highs and the lows, the goods and the bads, because I feel like when you've got a series like Rising of the Shield Hero, where season 1 was definitely enjoyed by a fair few, there were a lot of people that really enjoyed the series, liked the concept of the story, there was a lot of characters that definitely drew a lot of emotions, and then season 2 came along, and again, I don't need to repeat the same song and dance, but season 2 wasn't as well received. There were definitely some issues in the early stages, and so by that point people dropped it off and didn't feel the need to continue for the second half, which in my opinion was much better. But with season 3, as I said before, even season 3 came out, if you were a fan of the series, if you liked season 1 but you weren't happy with season 2 because of decisions being made, then I'd said, you should give season 3 a try, give it a second chance. But of course, if you didn't like season 1 and you didn't like season 2, then at that point there's no point going into season 3. Like, just don't bother. If you don't like the series from the beginning, you're clearly not going to like it in season 3, so there's no point. And I feel at that point, if you're still watching it, to me that feels like hate watching. That's like me being invited to a soccer match or a football, whatever you want to call it, and me saying well in advance that I hate that, and then agreeing to go to it and then whinging about it the entire time, and then it's just like, okay, well, why did you come if you hate the sport? Like in this case, if you know you hate Shield Hero, there's no point with season 3. But if you are a fan of the series, I really feel like giving season 3 a second chance is well worth it. And honestly, as far as the pacing goes, it's really, really good. Much better. Yes, there are skipping a bit of stuff, but the pacing is much more on point. And I feel like if you really want that authentic experience for Shield Hero, then the light novels are always there. And I think that is perfectly fine. I don't see an issue between light novel and anime if there are differences, as long as the core aspect of a story is there. Sometimes, yes, it would be nice to have everything in there, but again, I can't have everything I want, so sometimes I just have to be, take a step back and just say, you know what? It's still well paced, the story's really good, and if it gets more people to read the manga or the light novel, because the manga also is continuing and it does go fairly decent into the story, so there's that option there as well. So I just feel like at the end of the day, you've got options. If you're not a big light novel reader, you've got the manga as well, because I know there are a lot of people that just don't have the time to read light novels. That's understandable. You've got busy schedules. You can either watch content creators like myself or others that cover the source material in detail, or you can consume the manga. But as much as I do think the core aspect of the story and the animations are really good this season, there is some issues, especially in the more recent episode, where there's this talking going on and there's no mouth movements, and it does look a little bit awkward when you're like, okay, they're meant to be talking and their mouths aren't moving, and it's just like a still shot kind of moving across. There are some little issues like that. Again, it wouldn't be fair if I just sat there and only praised good aspects. I do need to bring up positives and negatives, because I think where there are issues, they need to be pointed out, and where there's credit to be given, there should be given. I'm not some blind hater or blind fanboy. I will bring up the positives and the negatives. But I did think that was a bit awkward, some of the still shot mouths. But I do think those will get fixed in the Blu-ray. I think it would have been nice if it was there from the beginning, but I do feel like that will be fixed in a Blu-ray version. They'll notice it and they'll be like, oh, we didn't have the mouths moving when they were meant to move, and they will move. But other than that, other than those little things, everything else has been really great. I mean, especially with this season, because this is the season that I've been really looking forward to, because there's a lot of major character development, particularly between certain characters that you're clearly noticing already. New characters being introduced that are absolute fan favorites with light novel and manga fans, particularly a certain alcoholic that has some interest in the Shield Hero. She is probably my favorite character in the Rising of the Shield Hero, just because of how fun she is. But then at the same time, it's really hard to put her at the top, and only at the top, when you've got other characters that have also been introduced. Between a particular girl that is blind, she is also just an absolute gem to the story as well. And then of course, I know you've got Philo and Raftalia, but these new characters just add so much spice, and especially with the Scissors Girl, I was about to say sword, but yes, Scissors Girl, she can't choose it like a sword. she's also a character that I really love. And one thing I really love about the anime is the fact that they do distort her voice. They kind of crack it a little bit, and with the subbed, they kind of blare it out. So it makes it feel like you're also experiencing those issues that the shield hero is hearing, that authentic, proper feeling. I really love those little attention to details, and I feel like they have tried to go as much out as possible at making it feel as good as possible. Like the story, the pacing, everything is just really on point. Again, yes, little issues here and there, but I think they've done such a great job. I feel like most of the complaints for Rise of the Shield Hero Season 3 are coming from the wrong angle. A lot of it's coming down to, oh, but I hate this character. Oh, I don't like this character. Oh, they're so weird and cringy and edgy. And it's like, that's kind of the point. Like, okay, you know, the Spear Hero is a little bit weird. He's doing some questionable things. He's saying some questionable things. He's acting in a questionable manner. But that's kind of the point. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but all I'm going to say is everything will be explained and everything will make sense as the story goes on. And again, if you want hints, watch the opening song. The opening song actually does hint at a lot of little things, like a lot of little backstories for all the different heroes. Because again, yes, it is called the Rising of the Shield Hero, but they are the 4 cardinal heroes. They are meant to work together to overcome the great evil, or the great issues. And if suddenly the Shield Hero was like this total like solo wingman, like, you know, some superhero, it would feel a little bit awkward, especially seeing as the whole story is built on this idea that they're meant to work together. That's the only way they're going to be able to defeat these waves and save the world, is if they work together. But if suddenly the Shield Hero is just winging it all on his own, that would just feel a little bit contradictory to the whole point of the story, and it would feel a little bit too like the Shield Hero is overpowered, and he's meant to be one of the weaker of the 4. So it would kind of, again, contradict itself. It'd be very hypocritical of the story. But as I've said, yes, there are some annoying characters. A certain particular character starting with B that is manipulating people. It is kind of funny to see through Season 1 and going into Season 2, a lot of people were like, oh, well, I'm bored of this now because the main point of the story is over. It's like, she wasn't the main point of the story. Like, his, you know, being released from these shackles that was these accusations wasn't the point of the story. Like, there was a lot more to it than meets the eye, and that's why I talked about in my previous video about Shield Hero why revenge wasn't the only part. I've seen some people say, oh, well, it wasn't revenge, it was vindicating. It was like, him labeling some names and almost having them executed was kind of revenge. I mean, you can't blame him for wanting to put some labels on them and kind of punish them a bit, because they were pretty cruel to him. They made his life absolute miserable, and he had to do some pretty shady stuff to, you know, get around those issues. And again, you can disagree with me, but I just feel like, again, labeling them some names is a form of revenge. It's just, in my opinion, especially with what she did, and he kind of deserves it as well, but let's just say characters that you think are done and dusted are far from done and dusted, as you can see. And there's much more character development and much more to the story that is going on. And I really do hope that people are enjoying these couple of episodes, or, you know, 5 or so episodes, whatever you're watching at. And if you are enjoying it, that's great. If you're not, well, I guess Season 3 wasn't for you. But I definitely feel Season 3 is a major step in the direction. As we're going through it, it shows that there's a clear... And I mean, again, things could go downhill from here. I could end up digging myself a grave. I've done that before with certain other animes. One starting with Spider, where I sat there and said, yeah, everything's going great, and then suddenly things go downhill. But I like to, you know, have hope. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst kind of thing. But I don't think I need to prepare for the worst, because I think things will be good. And I'm very much excited to see where the story goes, as how they adapt the light novels, because it feels like a different experience, which is actually kind of nice. But at the same time, you've got the light novels and the mangas if you want that more authentic experience. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.